DBSCG things.
What's up, Yuhp gang? It's your boy Taxon, and welcome back to Yuhp DBSCG Things, and today we're going over another very exciting deck list, guys. This is going to be the deck that went undefeated out of the last locals. This is Cooler Mill. Before we get into it, guys, I do want to say if you guys want any custom mats and or sleeves, absolutely check out promats. This is the best place to go get your custom card needs, and if you guys do decide to get a mat from them, make sure you use the promo code YUHP to save on your entire order. With that being said, guys, if you guys enjoyed this list or my content in general, remember to hit all those buttons for me, like, comment, subscribe, hit that bell so you never miss a video. And with that being said, let's turn it around and check out the list. Alrighty, guys, here's the deck. Now let's go ahead and go over it. Starting off with the leader, of course. It's an old school leader, so you have to attack a leader card to draw one on the front side. And then you have a nifty auto that retains the same exact way from the front and back side of your leader, that when the power of one of your opponent's battle cards is decreased, your opponent places the top card of their deck into their drop area. This is important into some matchups because if you verse things like red and they're using Flight of the Grand Eagle, if they choose two of their cards to minus by 15, they'll have to mill 2 off of this. I also believe that if your card gets a power boost and then loses it, you will have to mill 1 as well. So if, like, let's say you have a swing, you gain 5k, so you become a 15k attacker. If that 5k leaves at the end of the battle and or at the end of the turn, that is reducing your power back to its original state, and that is a power reduction. So I do believe that that will be a mill as well. It was super cool into Red Sin back in the day as well. So with that being said, that skill stays the same on the front and back. We have one more skill on the front side. If it's your opponent's turn and the power of one of your opponent's battle cards is decreased by a skill by one of your battle cards, you get to draw 1 card. So this is retaining 2 battle cards in your battle area. So if you have a card that's negging something before it comes into play or something like that, you do not get the draw there. Everything on the back side of the leader is exactly the same, except for you do not have to attack a leader to draw anymore, and then you do not have to be on your opponent's turn when you minus with one of your battle cards to draw. You can do that on both turns now. So that being said, that is the leader. We'll go ahead and start off the deck here, starting off with a couple of our early game plays. We have 2 of those Friezas and 4 of these Frieza True Form and Power. So this guy is just a cantrip. He comes out for 1, draw a card, and then the longer he sits on field, the more problems he becomes, because he has an activate battle. For 1, you get to choose a leader card or a battle card from your opponent's side of the field and neg it by 10,000 power for the duration of the battle. This is good because not only will it trigger the mill on your leader, but because it is a battle card that you have stuck in your battle area, you will draw a card. This is also nifty into some decks. If they can't get rid of this, it's nifty into some decks that like to pressure you with their leader, because this can target leaders and make them a lot smaller. So if you're going against like a 20k Z leader that has like double strike and they just leave no combos or whatever, you can just pay 1, minus the leader by 10, put them to 10, you're at 15, you get out of it. With that being said, that card's pretty useful, comes up in a lot of situations. Next up, we have 4 copies of this Frieza True Form and Power. When this card is played, you get the option of taking up to 1 life to your hand, and then you get to choose one of your opponent's battle cards and neg it by 5,000 power. That is pretty good because early game, if your opponent wants to per se play out a 1-drop that they cantrip and then they draw, and then they combo it off to start up some Z energy, this can get rid of it pretty easily, as well as mill. And then whenever this card attacks, this is the best part about this card, when this card attacks or is used in a combo, you get to use 1 red-blue card with no specifications on the cost or with the combo power or whatever it is, and combo with it from your hand, not skill negated, and then if you do so, you draw a card. So this card, if you pair it with a couple different other cards in your deck, you do not only get to turn on your arrival, but you get to cycle the card that you're using to turn on your arrival. So you're not actually losing the card that you're comboing with, which is really nice. And then next up, you have the activate main for limit 1 red. If you have 2 or more energy and you have a red-blue multicolor Frieza clan in your energy area, you can play the card from your hand. So like I said, if your opponent goes second and they play out a 1-drop and then pass turn without comboing it off, you will be able to take advantage with this card. More than likely, your opponent will be smart enough to combo it off during one of their attacks. But with that being said, it does come up later game as well, and it does hit 5k, so you can hit things like blocker tokens as well. We'll move this stuff over here. I'll just put it up here actually, and we'll get into the rest of the deck. As you've seen, that card did combo with a red-blue multicolor from our hand, so we will go ahead and show off our main red-blue multicolor combos to our arrival insinuators. We have 4 Beerus Divine Obliterator and then 3 copies of Whis Angel of Universe 7. So this guy, when you combo with him on your opponent's turn, you get to choose one of your red-blue energies and switch it to active mode, and as well as that, he's a 10k combo, and he will start turning on your rivals. This Whis, on the other hand, you will almost never use this effect unless you really have 2 energy and you want to counter or negate an attack for 2 energy, which you can. It happens. It's a blocker as well, so it's a 2 energy homicidal clone. But the main reason that we use this is a 2 energy cost and 10k. But as an auto that when it's used in a combo from your hand, not dependent on what turn it is, you get to switch one of your energies to active. So if you combo this card from hand and or play it and swing with it, you can combo with this, getting your energy back from playing this, and then start doing some arrivals on your turn. Pretty nice, because a lot of people expect Cooler to play things out on their turn. This combo allows you to do it on your turn, which is really nice. So we do have 7 total untappers there. 7 total 1 card combos to start our arrivals. Now to dive into our arrivals, we have a much bigger package in Cooler now than we once did. He has gotten so much support over the years that we can now officially say that some of the cards in this deck are pretty good. So we're going to go over the arrival cards. We're running a big full sweep on all of them besides this one here. So we got 4 Hercule and Majin Buu. I feel like I don't need to explain this card. This card's been in Cooler for so long. It's just like a staple for the deck at this point. When it plays, it draws a card, and you get to choose one of your opponent's battle cards and minus it by 10. That's going to trigger your leader to mill 1 and draw a card, so this card alone can be a draw 2. And then at the end of the turn, you get to choose one of your red and or blue battle cards, return it to your hand other than this card, and then return it to your hand. So a lot of reasons why this is good is not only that it's going to draw you 2 when combined with your leader, but at the end of the turn you're also going to be able to pick up one of your battle cards to reuse again as well. So it kind of becomes like a cycle and draw, which is really, really nice. So especially on the backside, if you actually get to the Z leader, this is like the best card to play out when you want to minus, because you'll draw a card, minus something by 10, and then your leader will draw 2 more, which is really, really nice. Next up, but do keep in mind that the later in the game that you get this card becomes less viable. It is a 3 cost 19k, so a lot of the free counterplays that people are using from 4 or less do hit this. Things like Absolute Release Ball, Beerus Ball does not hit it, but Absolute Release Ball and Focus Breakthrough both hit this card. So you definitely and Super Kamehameha. So you definitely want to be careful when you're summoning that card. Next up, we have Chilled Ruling Through Fear. I love this card so much. I think this is one of the better cards in the deck. It's hard for me to choose whether to hold this in my hand to use it as a combo later on, or to use it as an arrival. Not only does it get to trigger some mills as well as get to draw off your leader, but it's going to be top 5 searching as well, so it tutors that way. So it's a 20k dual attacker. You have an arrival for 1 red and 1 blue. You have the permanent. If you have a red-blue multicolor color card in your energy, you can reduce this card's combo cost in your hand by 1. Do note that is in your hand, so if you do play it out, you can't just combo it off for free off your battle area, so do be mindful of that. But it is nice because when you play it out for the arrival. You have to do this in order, so you have to go top 5 search first. So you'll top 5 search, you'll find whatever Frieza clan, like 90% of the deck is Frieza clan, so you find whatever you need to find there, and then you get to choose one of your opponent's battle cards, ignoring barrier, and minus it by 15,000 power. So the reason why this card is so good is because you're going to be able to top 5 search, more than likely find one of your 2 coolers here and or this one, and then you're going to minus a battle card, trigger a mill, and draw off your leader. So this card for 2 energy provides you a blocker dual attacker that not only mills 1, but searches a card and draws a card. So this card is very good in my opinion. And it doubles up as a combo as well. So if you're ever in a situation where you don't have one of these to untap energy and get going, you can go ahead. Or if you're early a game enough so that you don't have to actually untap any energy, you can go ahead and use this, which is nice. Anyways, moving on from that, we have this new 5-drop cooler coming from the anniversary box. Energy Exhaust Deflect dual attack, arrival for a red and a blue. If your leader card is a red cooler card, negate this card's energy exhaust skill in all areas. So this is a fantastic turn 1 charge. So you can, if you find this in your mulligan, it's tagged along with this 1-drop Frieza, you probably have one of the best openings that cooler can ever come with. What happens is you can charge this card. Not only is he charging as a red-blue, but he's also charging as a Frieza clan, so that also turns on this guy for your turn 2 as well. So very, very good. And as well as that, he also has an auto on play. You get to choose one of your opponent's battle cards, ignoring barrier, minus it by 20,000 power. Additionally, if you have a cooler Z leader in play, this card gains double strike. So if you're playing this aggressively on your turn, you're going to be able to have a dual attack, double strike, 25k that's going to mill 1, draw 1, which is extremely powerful. Especially if you pair it with the Z leader, which we'll get to later. He plays out with a different battle card and does a lot. So with that being said, card is very good. Moving on to the OG of the OS of G's cooler card. This is like one of the cooler cards that actually gets splashed into other decks. This card is played in things like Launch. This was played in Red Blue Cooler Mill. I've seen this card, or Red Blue Soul Striker. I meant. I've seen this card in things like even the Android 17 Universe 7 deck, which is crazy. Anyways, this card's just nuts. It's very simple. 1 energy double striker, a rival for 1 red on Red Blue. If you play this card, or when you play this card, your opponent places 1 from the top of their deck, so you have a mandatory mill without minusing any cards. So even if your opponent doesn't have a battle card in play and you have a few of these in hand and you just need to get a couple cards out of their deck, you could just rival 2, 3 of them, get the mill 3, and call it a day. With that being said, you also get to choose 2 of your opponent's battle cards, ignoring barrier, and minus them by 10,000 power. You cannot choose the same card in 2 instances with that skill. There has to be 2 cards on field for you to target with that effect. With that being said, if you do have 2 cards in play, this card can be a mill 3 draw 1, which is absolutely nuts. And it goes through barrier. This card goes through barrier. This card goes through barrier. This card is like the only card that does not go through barrier. Yeah, well as this card, but this card is a lot less played that side. So at a 1-of, we'll go ahead and briefly talk about him. He's a 25k triple striker, a rival for a red, blue, and a colorless. When this card is played or attacks, which is very nice, it's not once per turn, so you can trigger this twice in the turn that you played if it's on your turn. When this card is played or attacks, your opponent places the top card of their deck into the drop area, and then you get to choose one of your opponent's battle cards and minus it by 25,000 for the turn. This card is very good because this becomes a mill 4, and then with the other effect, or mill 4 draw 1, and then with the other effect, you get to, at the end of your turn, you may return this card to the owner's hand and then switch one of your red or blue energy to active. The reason this is so good is because you could play this out for 3 on your turn. You're going to mill 1, hit a card for 25, and draw 1. So you already got pretty good benefits there. You're going to swing and threat triple strike. If your opponent does not clear this card during that battle, you can go ahead and turn, and then when this card goes back to your hand, you're going to get another card back to your hand because this card came from your hand in the first place. He netted a draw off your leader, and then he's going to bounce back to your hand, so you don't break, you do not go neg at all playing this card. And then you mill another 2 cards. So you're going to be, it's a mill 4, put it back to your hand, and untap an energy. Becomes like a 2 energy play and gives you energy to start playing with on your opponent's turn as well. And it negs 25, not through barrier, but if your opponent does decide to get cocky and play a card that just can get sniped in one go, this is the card to do it. With that being said, we'll go ahead and move that up there. Our next, I believe this is our last red-blue card of the deck. We have Full Power Frieza, 100% Overdrive. This card is absolutely nasty. Triple Striker. When this card attacks, you get to choose all of your opponent's battle cards, ignoring all your opponent's non-token battle cards. Key to note, this card has been errated. All non-token battle cards, ignoring barrier, and then they get minus 30,000 power for the turn. So this is a mass board wipe, and then on top of that, it has your leader's mill effect, but times 2. So it says when the power of one of your opponent's battle cards is decreased, your opponent places 2 cards from the top of your deck, top of their deck, into the drop area. So that combined with your leader becomes a mill 3 for every instance of a neg. So if you have him on field and you play something like this per se, this becomes now, if you have 2 cards to hit with this, this now becomes like a mill. 3 per card, yeah. So and then 1 on play. So there'd be a mill 7 for 1 energy, which is nuts. But this card will more than likely be answered. So like a lot of the times when you play this card, you're going for game the moment you play it. There's a skill that we'll talk about later on the Z leader that allows you to play this for 5 energy and untap 2. This card pairs very well during that skill with this card, or this card, because it does play a fry drop. Now depending on the situation that you're in, maybe you need some more mills, or you need some uninteractable mills without having to attack, because you have to attack with this. So you could of course do something like this. When he's played, you mill 1, and then of course you get to hit a card for 25. That's going to be a mill total of 3 now, so that's a mill 4, and then of course that triggers again when he attacks, milling some more off that, as well as popping it back to your hand. Your leader effect's going to untap energy as well. So he untaps, your leader would untap, and so on and so forth. 5-drop Frieza is just good. If you don't run that in your cooler deck, I just think that you're playing the deck wrong. That's just my personal opinion. Everyone has their own playstyle. Do not let what I say go to heart. Anyways, we have Force into Being. We're in a rival deck. Everything that we want to do is primarily on our opponent's turn anyways, so we don't mind the errata on this. It's actually better for us. Next up, our final extra cards of the deck, Wolfang Fist. Being that we are in a rival-based deck and we like to see our combo steps, we do not have any other hard negates in the deck besides this, and this isn't even a hard negate.
This does just smack something ignoring barrier for 15. That does trigger a mill on our leader, and then a big thing to note is it does not negate the attack. So if you do hit something that's bigger than 15, like let's say you have a 20k, you can hit it with this, and then you can start doing your arrival shenanigans to hit other cards without having to actually survive that attack, which is nice. I like this card because, like I just said, it allows you to get into the combo step even if you need to hit the card. So like, let's say your opponent has 2 or 3 battle cards in play, they're swinging with one of them. The one of them that they're swinging with isn't super huge, but you don't want to waste your arrivals on it. You'd rather waste your arrivals on the other 2. You can go ahead and hit it with the Wolfang. That card will get minus 15, and because you're going to combo, you're more than likely going to get out of that card's attack as well. So you're going to minus it, you're going to combo, you're going to get out of that attack, and during that battle step, you're going to start doing some arrivals to hitting other cards. That's one of my favorite reasons why I like Wolfang. I love being able to see my battle step after I've countered. Going into the Unison tech of the deck, we have 3 Juvenile Parasite Baby, and then 3 Videl Encountering Danger. I find myself very oftenly wanting to cut these from my deck, but it's just so hard to make that decision. These cards do absolutely the most work for this deck. It's a +1, go to 20k, draw a card, and then get rid of one of your opponent's battle cards. That's absolutely huge. It makes it hard for your opponent to deal with, as well as it gives you a Unison to start pressuring your opponent, because a lot of people just like to play leader and Unison swings into Cooler. So this allows you to get a Unison as well. It's a 20k as well, so most of the time you're going to be able to deal damage on your opponent's Unison as well, and then start swinging with your leader there as well. That's like probably one of my favorite reasons about it. It gives me a card to start attacking Unisons, or just to be more aggressive. Next up, we have Cell Max Return of Despair. This card here is pretty good. I like this card a lot because it does help me into matchups, just like I explained. Matchups where people are like really focused on just hitting me once or twice a turn, going once with the leader, going once with the Unison, passing and calling it good. I like this card because it allows me to just kind of say no to that. I can block for 25k on the Unison and or leader effect, and then it will minus itself down to a 10k and then untap, which will allow me to just take 1 damage and or block the next attack for the turn, which is pretty good. I like this card a lot, and he does snipe something for 30k. Do note that when he snipes something, he is not in field, so you will not be able to draw off his effect, or off your leader effect. So that is pretty important to note. Let me just go ahead and move these out of the way so I have a little bit more room down here at the bottom for these last few cards. Alright, going into the last 5 cards of the deck, we have 2 copies of Sun Gohan facing an Android of Terror, 2 copies of Sun Gohan defeating the Demon, and then my SCR of choice is Golden Cooler Radiant Pride. Because I know it's a weird choice, but I like this card not only because it's a cooler inside my cooler deck, but it allows me to start pushing aggressively instead of playing for the mill game. So if I'm ever in a situation where I'm versing one of those people who are like, I'm just going to swing with my leader once, keep passing turn over and over again, swing with my leader, pass turn, swing with my leader, pass turn, eventually my opponent's hand will get big because they're doing nothing but drawing cards and not actually playing anything. Well, at some point in that game, I can go ahead and slap this down. If they don't have a response to this is going to go ahead and put their hand down to 5 cards, and that's going to allow me to be super aggressive, because then now I can swing almost infinitely with this card, as well as create the pressure to force them to get rid of the rest of their cards. Nice thing to note too is that we can back this up with all of our other cooler plays. So unless there's attached, I apologize, stumbling over my words here. Unless there's removal for something this big attached to the leader and or their Unison, if they actually run a Unison, because like I said, right now Unisons are kind of not super in the meta, but they get sided in against this type of deck often. Yeah, I just think it's really good. I don't know what else to say about it. 40k allows us to basically put our opponent to nothing in hand, which allows us to start pushing face with all of our double strikers, because like we said, this is a red deck, so we can play extremely aggressive. Our last 2 cards, Gohan facing the Android of Terror. I like this card. It can be really good depending on the situation that you're up against. You can pay 1, play it out. You can choose up to a total of 7 cards, minus them by 10. If you hit 5 or more cards, this card will gain 10 and double strike. He plays for 1 if you're at 4 or less life, and then he also has a red energy auto that when he's charged to your Z energy, you can pay that 1 red and then choose one of your opponent's battle cards or Unisons at minus by 10k. So that's one of the best things about this card. Not very often am I using this card here to hit a wide battlefield, but more often am I using this card to minus a Unison by 10. So if I'm versing something like this where it just has like a 10k, this is just going to smack it. Pay 1, play it for 10, basically minus a marker off it. Swing, combo, Z-charge it for 1, knock another marker off it, and helps me get rid of Unisons. Pretty good card. Not much else to say about that. And then Gohan defeating the Demon. This card doesn't come up super early in this game, but it does come up later on when you have a bunch of Z energy as well as your Z leader in play. He becomes a 1 energy counterplay double strike blocker. On play, you get to choose one of your opponent's battle cards and negate by 20,000. That is pretty good because, of course, he is in play when that checks, so that will trigger your leader to draw a card. So he becomes a hit double strike blocker, blow up a card, draw 1, mill 1 in this deck, which is extremely powerful. So with that being said, that is the main board, guys. We'll go ahead and dive directly into the side, or not the side, the Z deck. I only have 6 right here because I am currently letting my brother use my Z extra card in his Jiren list. So the very first card that I would show here, I'll just edit it in for you guys. My very first card that I have here is the ×10 SS4 Kamehameha. Essentially, the card is just a +10 for 1 Z energy, or it's a +15 and draw a card, and then minus something by like 15 or 20. It negs something by some amount of power. You guys will be able to read it. It's on screen for you. But I run 1 copy of that. Of course, the 1 copy of the Z leader. Golden Cooler, revenging his final form. Honestly, I don't like this card as much as the actual leader itself. It's still a 15, so it doesn't really benefit you to go rushing into this leader. You still have the same mill auto that when one of your opponent's battle cards his power is decreased, your opponent places the top into the drop area. That is still a thing. The only thing that really changed on the backside is you get an activate main for 5 total energy, 2 red, 1 blue, and 2 skillless. If your opponent has 20 or fewer cards inside their deck, you get to play 1 Frieza and 1 Cooler that are both red-blue multicolor cards with their energy cost of 5 from your hand. And then at the end of your turn, you get to switch 2 of your energy to active mode. Like I was kind of explaining some of the combos with this a little earlier. You basically just play out this 5-drop, and then you pick and choose whichever one of these 5-drop coolers comes out with it, and then you just do a huge mill play. And then if that didn't kill him, you just have big bodies in field. The other effect that changes from the normal leader is that you do not draw on attack no more, but you do have the option to draw 2 on your opponent's turn. So it has this new skill that says when your opponent's cards... This is actually important to note because this can trigger, if you hit a Unison with this, you can trigger the draw, which is nice. If your opponent's card's power is decreased by your battle card's skill, draw 1 card, and then additionally, if it's your opponent's turn, draw 1 card. So, if it's your turn and you do a mill, you'll draw 1 card, and if it's your opponent's turn and you do a mill, you'll draw 2. The reason that's important, and the reason that that's slightly different and slightly important is because it does say cards. So if you do have a way to neg, like per se a leader, a Unison, those 2 options that are normally never going to do anything else for you in this deck will now draw you cards. So if it's your opponent's turn and they swing, like let's say with their leader, and you combo this off and then Z charge it for, or not combo it off, you activate main and play it out. You get that auto to hit all battle cards, or choose a total up to 7 battle cards and or Unisons, and they get minus by 10. That will trigger your leader to draw 2, as well as Wolfang Fist. This allows you to hit a battle card or leader card, and this just says whenever your opponent's power is decreased. So if your opponent swings a leader and you just want to trigger some draws, you can go ahead and Wolfang, put their leader down to 0, and then you will be able to go ahead and draw 2 cards off that, which is pretty nice, pretty nice. You won't get the mill because the mill is only very tied to battle cards being reduced, whereas the draws are tied to any card being reduced. So we're going into a few more of the one-ofs in the Z deck. We have SSB Vegeta surmounting the impossible. Not too much to say about him. We have SS4 Son Goku Defender of Life. This is our I'm gonna win in time button. We have the Omnidirectional Beam. This card might get cut. It almost absolutely never comes up in this deck. And then our last 2 cards, other than the SS4Z extra card, is Rush Attack Vegeta. This one's played more often than anything in the entire... actually, I'd say the Z extra card gets played more often than anything. This is the second, and then, of course, Z Leader is the third. This card, like I said, he only comes out if I'm going into time. I'm like on the final seconds of time, and it's like I'm about to lose because of life or something. I'll just go ahead and slap this down, deal a damage to you, call it good, and I'll just take the win from time. With that being said, that was my cooler deck list. I hope you guys enjoyed this list. If you guys enjoyed this list, always remember to hit all those buttons for me. It always helps my channel grow, as well as we are still trying to race for 2,000 to hit that big giveaway. With that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed it. Always smash those buttons for us. We will see you guys next time.